So, Mufti Zeeshan, the last thing I wanted to touch upon with you was to see if you could maybe explain to us and tell us about the halal slaughtering requirements and the slaughtering tools and equipments that must be used in the halal slaughtering process.
A very crucial part, which is the core of halal slaughtering, the requirements related to specific slaughtering process. So there are a few things which our standard has guided us very specifically. The place which is being used for slaughtering halal animals should be used for only halal species. That particular place should not be used for halal and non-halal species. Both the species should not be slaughtered at the same place. The organization, if they are slaughtering non-halal species as well, then there has to be a proper segregation, a proper separate production hall for halal production, whereby there should be proper segregation and identification, so there is no chance of cross-contamination at any step. Similarly, the slaughterman who is performing the halal slaughtering should be a Muslim, ideally, although the standard has allowed the people of book as well, the Christians and the Jews as well, that they can slaughter as well. But ideally, it is recommended that a Muslim should be there as a slaughterman. That slaughterman should have in-depth knowledge about his responsibilities towards halal slaughtering. He should know the requirements of halal slaughtering, the process, what he has to utter, and what he has to do, and what are the things which he has to avoid. So he should be aware about his requirements, should have been properly trained and guided, and that particular person should be approved by the halal certification body, should be authorized, and then only that person should be allowed to perform halal slaughtering. The slaughterman should ensure that he is uttering the name of Almighty God while slaughtering each and every animal. It is important to take the name of God while you're slaughtering the animal or birds on each and every. Okay, recommended bleeding time. It's a very important thing that the proper bleeding time has to be given, in which there should be spontaneous bleeding, and before that bleeding time is completed, no additional cutting or deskinning takes place, because at that moment the animal is not completely dead. If you start deskinning process, or if you start any additional cutting, it will surely be additionally painful for the animal. Therefore, it is important to give proper bleeding time, and the proper bleeding time I'll share in my next slide. It is important to ensure that the slaughterman does not sever the spinal cord and head as well, because if it is done, it's extremely painful for the animal. Hence, this act is considered extremely non-recommended. That technically we call it makruh, things which is extremely disliked, should not be done. Slaughtering equipments and slaughtering tools. The organization shall ensure that the knives which are used for slaughtering process should be razor sharp. It should be properly sharp so that it is easier to cut the animal, and it does not make the slaughtering process additionally painful for the animal, that you are trying to cut it but you are not able to do it because the knife is not sharp properly. It's additionally painful, should not be done. Similarly, those knives should be kept clean, should be sanitized after each and every animal as well, and should be sanitized at the temperature of 82 degrees as well in the hot water. So all sort of bacteria or any sort of if there is any virus or any thing into it, should be removed. And this is a particular requirement in regards to the food safety as well, that the water should be hot enough that it could kill the diseases or bacteria. One thing is very important, and it's also again not just the requirement of animal welfare but the requirement of halal as well, that those knives should not be sharp in front of animals, because if you do that, it will be additionally painful for the animal, and it is not a recommended thing to give additional stress to the animals. If you sharp the knife in front of them, it will give them additional stress. The organization shall station a trained halal supervisor or halal inspector right after the slaughtering process. So he is able to monitor the slaughterman. He is able to see that each and every bird, each and every animal is slaughtered according to the requirements of halal standard. And if any animal is not slaughtered properly, he will definitely instruct, and he is supposed to instruct regarding the removal of that animal from the production line, and it should not go for further processing because that is not halal. And similarly, he should have his own checklist as well. He should be filling his halal slaughtering records as well because he's a supervisor over there. He's stationed over there. So he has to note down that that particular animal with that particular tag or traceability number was not slaughtered properly. His records should reflect that activity as well. If any animal, as I said, are found not properly slaughtered according to the halal requirements, that animal should be removed from the slaughter line. Once the animal has been declared dead completely, then only you're allowed to carry out any additional cutting or processing. And that time frame for bleeding, as I mentioned in my earlier slide, is 3 to 5 minutes for poultry, minimum 3 minutes, and then it could be more as well. And for large animals, it has to be 4 to 8 minutes. So there is spontaneous bleeding, and the animal is completely dead. And then you start the further cutting and processing, so it's not going to be painful for the animal anymore. So this is something which was important part of the halal slaughtering standard and the core slaughtering requirements, which every slaughterman should be aware about and should ensure not only the slaughterman, but the organizations, production department, the quality assurance, the quality control. Similarly, the people in the halal certification body, the auditors should be aware about these requirements so they can ensure the implementation of all these requirements and clauses. That is all from my side. Thank you so much, and over to you, Brian.